Hey guys, it's Cobalt of the Lumaroos here, just wanting to show off another deck. This is the one I used for the premiere event. I wasn't really going to do a deck list for 17th place. Unfortunately, I bubbled out of the top 16, which just happens sometimes, which I can discuss later. But this is the deck I played, and I feel it's at least unique and interesting enough that I wanted to make a deck profile on it. So here is it's kind of just the Celestleo Turbo deck. It's very different to the previous Celestleo deck and very different to a lot of like the decks we usually see in this game. I'm playing Zero Ambrosia. Zero Gorgon's Gaze, Shield of Achilles, Earthquake, none of that. It is all just gas. So let's go through. First of all, I want to go through like the basic combo. It's a really straightforward combo. It's nothing too complex. It is Celestleo, Golden Apple, and Rise. So you'll Golden Apple to discard the Celestleo, you Rise, bring back the Celestleo. So you've paid 7, which is a ridiculously high and steep cost. But Celestleo will then grab guys from the top of your deck and destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field, up to however many cards it grabs. It's just turbo destruction, turbo removal. This doesn't die to shield. This can die to PTA, but it's going to cost your opponent 7, which is what you've invested anyway, which is fine. This can snipe the EQ. Like, the only thing that you really lose to is EQ, because it doesn't use your normal cast. So you put down another guy, and that covers you for resting on your laurels. So yeah, it's just, you get out 2 bodies first turn. One of them's a big body that just gets nothing but value. And it's either EQ or bust at that point. There are ways to remove it. Boom bats were huge all event. But yeah, so that's the basic combo. It's not too complex, but the whole deck is just spam this. So we're obviously on 3 Rise. I don't have 3 of the same art, so 3 different Rise. Or 2 different. So 3 Rise. Now, you will mulligan if you don't see Rise in your opener. If Rise isn't in your first hand, you do mulligan. The second hand, it depends. If your hand's not very good, you'll mulligan again, but if your hand's playable at least, then you kind of just have to bear with it and hope that you draw into the Rise. 3 Golden Apple of Discord. This obviously is just the other half of the combo, but it's not. It's at 6 because we're also playing 3 Comagma. This does the same thing, but if they Gorgons it, then that's too bad. Downside is they will not Gorgons this. They will PTA this. They will not Gorgons this. Unless they know what you're doing. Like, if it's game 1 and you're going second and you play this, they're not going to waste a Gorgons on it. A draw and a discard isn't that huge. So they will just genuinely be like, that's fine. And then because you get that draw discard off, you draw a card, you discard your Celestleo, and then you Rise it back, and you're just set. If you first light Celestleo to the top of your deck and then Comagma, you get this anyway. Like, it's the same result, so it's fine. Comagma is so good in this deck. Obviously, we're on 3 Celestleo because you do need to see it to be able to discard it, so we're on 3. Yep, it's bricky. We're also on Farrageist, which is the 4th Celestleo. It is actually worse than Celestleo. 9 times out of 10, you want Celestleo if you have the option. But there was one game, I think I did cast this one time in the whole event, and it was first turn. I was just like, first light, grab I won the dice roll. First light, grab Farrageist, put it at the top of the deck, and then Comagma, discard the Farrageist, and Rise, bring it back. And my opponent scooped. Like, they were just like, yo, I can't deal with that right now. So that's the basic lineup. The Celestleos and stuff, and then everything else is kind of just to keep you alive till you get there. So we have 3 Nebuleo. Now, Nebuleo, obviously, the foretell ability to grab cards is really nice, but the best part of its foretell ability is if your Rise is in the top 4, you can put it to the top, so next turn you've got it. And generally, you're not going to die in a turn. Your opponent has 1 turn to kill you or mill you. Otherwise, Celestleo is hitting the board if you can get the Nebuleo to see a Rise. So that's the reason we play Nebuleo. You'll generally want to open it before you want to play Comagma. You don't want to blind Comagma. You only want to Comagma if you have access to Celestleo guaranteed. Whereas this will help you get there a little faster. This helps you get to Rise if you don't have it, or Apples if you don't have it, or Magma. But it also adds the Celestleos to hand if it sees them, and itself, and First Light, which are just great cards. 3 Leo Bright. It does come up that you'll want to ascend. I'll probably just throw these here too, the Cafmel. It's not a terrible play to Rise the Cafmel and then cast Leo Bright over the top. It gives you a 7/5 for 2 because you're paying 1 for the Cafmel, or you're paying 3 and then 1, but then you're healing back that 3 when you ascend. So you're paying 2, you're getting a 7/5, and that 7/5 then looks at the top 4 of your deck, rearranges stuff, or turns into a Celestleo if you get lucky. So yeah, very good for that. This doesn't have to ascend into Leo Bright though. It can ascend into anything. Leo Bright can probably be cut back a bit. It's free. Like, you just get them off Nebuleo. It is the brickiest card in the deck though, so it's probably very replaceable. But obviously we didn't have a lot of playtesting on this deck to like determine what would and would not work. I will point out that Phrasenator, one of the other Lumaroos, was on a card-for-card deck. The only difference was he didn't build a sideboard. His sideboard, I think, was just 2 Hurricanes, and that was it. 3 Cockeray and 1 Draco Ray. This could go up to 2 easily. We could easily drop the Leo Brights for the Cockerays. It's just better. I'd rather cast this and heal 3 because this deck burns your mana so fast. You run out of spirits in no time. It costs 7 to do the main combo. Any damage you're taking is just making that worse. You can get the Rise discard play off twice, or you can get Rise off twice essentially. But Draco Ray and Cafmel mean that you can potentially get that a 3rd time. And also it's a 7. It's also just a clear. It forces them to waste back row. Like, they will probably try and like waste resources on this. I had a game where my opponent EQ'd this, and then next turn I used Rise, brought out Celestleo, and he didn't have EQ anymore. That was the end of the game. But yeah, the heal 3 is great. The fact that he's just summons from deck is really free, but normal casting him over either like anything is so good. Yeah, this could easily go to 2, and probably should go to 2, and consider 3. Armadourn. This stalls. That's it. Armadourn's here for stall. It's a pretty basic reason to be playing a card, but it wastes your opponent's time so that you can ascend it. If he survives a turn, you turn him into a Leo Bright and you're off to the races. Otherwise, it just kind of like stonewalls your opponent a bit. Now, he does get eddied almost every single time. 9 times out of 10, he gets eddied and he just dies. It's surprising how inefficient his big booty was this event. Some events, he just sticks around for ages. The last event I did, the last Premier event, I opened 3 of these and they stayed the whole game and I won because of it. Just rotating them. This event, without any protection, these aren't as good. They are just very prone to getting killed. I did win a game off of it. My opponent was down to 0 spirits. They had a 5-drop and a 4-drop that had no effects because they were both misenchanted. And I just put this in defense and passed turn, and that was the end of the game because if he can't remove this, it just changes and he dies. Kind of cool in that way, but again, it's a card that if you're not defending it, it's not working. So it was worth a try. I think it's good, but I do think there's other things that are better, like the Aramare. I think it's Aramare. The 1-drop solar 4/5. It kind of does the same job, except if it gets eddied, they have to trade the eddy. That's pretty much it. Pigleam. I'm on 2 Pigleam. This guy is just for removal. Sometimes there's a big guy on the field. This takes out Doppelgator. This takes out Pantera. Takes out another Celestleo if someone else is crazy enough to play it. It just anything big that doesn't buff itself. So all your high cost guys really don't buff themselves. So this is really good as just removal for those. Yes, it dies on the clapback every time, but whatever. 3 First Light. Card's good. It sets off Draco Ray, or sets off Cockeray into Draco Ray, and it also puts the Celestleo to the top of your deck when you want it. Or if you want something else, like a Cafmel, you can put the Cafmel to the top of your deck and get ready for that heal. I will point out, Kafmal did not do a lot for me this event. Every single time, my opponent had Spectrus and just ran over it. The moment I put out a Kafmal being like, I need health, I'm going to put out Kafmal, my opponent would just be like, Spectrus, it's dead. So this card did let me down a lot, but I wouldn't cut it for any reason because the fact that it can heal 3 is just huge. 3 Apollo. Normally I wouldn't condone 3 Apollo, but it is not using your normal cast. Like, you don't have to use your normal cast, and you can rearrange the top. You can see the rise a little bit sooner. You go 3 deep. Some people would say that Astrabbit does the same thing, and kinda, but Astrabbit takes a normal cast. This doesn't. So you can usually do this, grab a Nebuleo, and then cast the Nebuleo, or grab whatever and do it. And then you're also rearranging the stuff for next turn. It doesn't matter if you wait a turn. If you have to wait 1 turn to get Celestleo out, that's fine. Turn 2 Celestleo is still insane. And then the last card is 3 Nog. This is great. If you Apollo and you see these 2 cards and Celestleo, for example, you can grab the Celestleo and then just Nog the other cards. Every time you foretell and you see non-solar cards you want, you can just Nog, add it to hand. It's really good. Really, really good. Again, this deck is just all in, so it doesn't really matter that that's happening. And then Spirits. Spirits are pretty simple. 3 fire. This pays for the Co-Magma and the Drake Array, and then there's 1 extra that we use for siding. It's just easier to play it now because sometimes you do Co-Magma a second time. 1 water. This is purely for Hurricane. I just wanted the extra side slot, so I'd rather play this. Again, you can just spend it on Rise if Hurricane's not in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter too much about Spirits here. So you can spend it for Rise or Apple or even Nog or Damage, whatever you want. But also, if you're desperate, you can enchant like one of your guys to make them tsunami proof, or you can enchant Armadorn to make him a 6/1 with a Galaxy on board. It's just cute stuff like that. But yeah, that's all it is. It's just so that I don't have to board it for Hurricane. 2 Aloon. These are just for Farrageist, of course, because Farrageist is a good card. Again, if you don't see Farrageist, you just spend them. It's fine. And then 14 Solars. Like, obviously. It doesn't need to be Solars. I think realistically you only need about 9 of these, but you just spend them. It's fine. And then the side deck. The side deck's kind of interesting. 3 Hurricane. If you're going second after winning game 1, your opponent is going to be playing all the back row. They're going to set all the back row they can because they need to be removing Pantera the second it hits the board, or need to have some answer to Pantera. Not Pantera, sorry, Celestleo. They need to answer Celestleo. So you bring these in. It's another 3. You're paying 10 instead of 9, but it's guaranteeing that you can't stick. Really good going second, kind of mid going first. 3 Chains of Prometheus. So this is what the other fire spirits are in the deck for. Chains of Prometheus is kind of crazy. You will get Gorgons a lot. Your opponents will try and Gorgons you every opportunity they get. This card just says, get out of jail free on 1 Gorgon's Gaze. Lets you be a little more aggressive with cards. 2 Divine Blessing. As I said, you lose to EQ. Like, it's crazy to play a deck that loses to the 1 card in the game that, like, every deck plays. There's other cards that this hits. If you ever get in the mirror, you do this to a Rise, you win. So it's playable, it's good. I did have it come up. So yeah, good card. Again, you sided in when going first. So the Chains and the Blessings are for going first, whereas the Hurricanes and the Gloombats are for going second. If you notice your opponent is playing a lot of back row, you side in the Gloombats, and then you can just pop their back row. I will say after playing the event, I drew it 1 time, and my opponent only had 1 back row, and I just didn't cast it. I was like, it's fine, I'll just cast Celestleo and pop it. So yeah, I didn't cast it. I did have a couple of times where I would foretell and it would be in the foretells and it would just go to the bottom because the rest of the deck just does enough that you don't need this. This was kind of just a bad choice. And then 3 Magnetic Force Field for burn. I did play Fire Nexus that played a little burn. The cute thing about Comagma and Dragolas is you can't get eruptioned while they're on the board. So this didn't come up at all. And then it's the remaining 2 spirits for Hurricane because Hurricane costs 3. And costs 3 spirits but not on. But yeah, so that's this wacky excuse of a deck that we're on. My matches were mostly pretty good. Some games I didn't even get to, like, everything went fast. Some games I didn't really know what my opponent was doing. It was just like, okay, they played an Eddie game 1 and they died. What are they on? Most of my games were 2-0, so it was a very quick couple of rounds. Now, my first round opponent dropped from the event straight away. So I won my first round. Good start. My opponent dropped from the event and just killed my tiebreakers. So unfortunately, I placed 17th on a 5-2 run, which obviously someone's got to come 17th. It's fine, but it is just a little disappointing, of course, to go 5-2 and then finish 17th. I'd rather finish 20th, honestly. I'd rather finish 20th than 17th. I had some good matches. I got to play against like Shoutout and Swolax, which was super cool. Swolax loved the deck, so that was super cool to just like have someone like freaking out over how cool the deck was. Yeah, I will be uploading the matches once I've done the basic editing of just removing the start and end of each clip. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That's my Celestleo pile. Just, it's not really playing Elestrals. It's not playing Elestrals to play against it. Either your opponent has Celestleo or they don't. And that's pretty much it. Boombat was a menace. So many times I'd be like, yeah, turn 1 Celestleo. Let's see the EQ. Come on. EQ or bust. And they'd be like, I don't have EQ, but I have a Boombat. And it's like, yeah, that's worth a turn. You fuck. But otherwise, yeah, the deck was good. I feel like it should have performed a little better than it did. The games I lost, my opponents just had all the answers. It's just as simple as that. And sometimes that's just, that's how this deck works, is sometimes your opponent will have all the answers. I might try and refine it a bit. We were considering Tornadian line. It's not necessary, but it's not unnecessary either. It's just more search power in a deck that kind of wants specific unsearchable cards. So I guess that's an option. There's not really a substitute for Rise, so just trying to search Rise isn't ideal. Also, this is kind of good in that it rips a card out of your opponent's hand. There was one game where my opponent was like, yeah, I have 4 cards in hand. And I already had Celestleo on board, but I still had 2 apples in hand. And I'm like, I've just resolved Celestleo. I've got a 10 card hand because I've just been spamming Celestleo. And I was like, I'm just going to cast both apples. And we're just going to rip 2 cards out of your hand and just lower your odds. And I think almost every time I hit an Ambrosia. Most of the time I hit an Ambrosia with this. And that's fine. It's cool. That's going to stop you healing later. Good job holding on to that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and yeah, 17th place, but still the deck performed quite admirably. Phrasenator, who was on the same deck, he went 3-4, no, 4-3, sorry Phrase. But yeah, we almost had a third person on the deck, but he just didn't have the cards, so we'll see how we go. This might just be the thing you expect to happen when Lumaroos show up to an event now.